Hello, 8th grade. We are going to look at a couple problems that are going to be on the sample test, specifically number 2, solving a system of equations by substitution, and then another one, number 7, which is free choice. And I'm going to give you a hint on this free choice one when we get there. So let's get ready to go. We're going to go over to our sketch pad. We'll look at the problems, and then we'll figure out how to solve them. Okay, so on this problem, I basically have the answers, right? So here are the answers over here to the right. So we know that that this is the answers. These are the answers we're going to look for on number 2 and number 7. So I was asked to solve number 2 and number 7 on the practice test. So let's look at solving by substitution. So what is the key when we solve by substitution? I'm going to copy these two problems here. And I've taught you one way to do it, and the easy way to do these problems is you're going to identify which variable is the easiest to solve for. And so the easiest to solve for might be this one here, x, because you can kind of see that there's not going to be any dividing required to solve for. So let's watch this. Let's solve this one for x and isolate x. Typically in these problems we've been solving for y, but again, let's try to solve for x in this one and see how cool this works out. So we're going to add x to both sides here, and we're going to get 2y equals x plus 4. And now we're going to subtract 4 from both sides, and we're going to get, on the right, we get x, and on the left, we get 2y minus 4. So let's just rewrite that as x equals 2y minus 4 using our reflexive property of equality. Okay, so you shouldn't have any trouble getting from here down to here. Now, in this equation, we can substitute this value of x straight in for x right there. Now, we could, if we want, solve this equation for x and then set the two sides equal to each other. That's kind of the way we've been doing it in the past. So let's just do it that way, and then we'll show it to you the other way. Okay, so let's rewrite this guy. We're going to subtract 4y from both sides. Subtract 4y. Whoops. 4y, and we get 3x equals negative 4y minus 12. And now we're going to divide both sides by 3, and we get x equals negative 4/3 y minus 4. Okay, and so now we can say, well, if x equals this and x equals this, then we can just set these two things equal to each other and then solve for y. So let's do that. So we've solve both sides for x. So now we say 2y minus 4 equals negative 4/3 y minus 4. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply both sides, everything through by 3, because I like to get rid of fractions. So let's get rid of fractions. So we're going to take this and we're going to multiply by 3. Take this and multiply by 3. And remember, when we multiply by 3, we have to multiply everything on both sides by 3. So on the left side, we get 6y minus 12 equals negative 4y minus 12. Oh, this is going to work out really nice. Really nice. So we can add 12 to both sides, and we get 6y equals negative 4y. Wow, this is looking funky. How could that be? 6y equals negative 4y, but let's add 4y to both sides. And we get, whoops, 10y equals 0. And if 10y equals 0, if we divide both sides by 10, we get y equals 0. All right, now we're looking good. So we go back all the way back to our original equations. And we're going to plug in, we're going to say, well, if y, we're going to plug in y is 0. So we'll do that on this left side here. So we'll say, well, 2y minus x equals 4. So 2 times 0, remember, our y is 0, minus x equals 4. So 2 times 0 is 0, so negative x equals 4. So x equals minus 4. All right, now we have to check using the other equation. So we're going to take this equation here and say 3x plus 4y equals negative 12. 3 times negative 4 plus 4 times 0. Oh, it's looking good. Negative 12 plus 0 equals negative 12. Negative 12 equals negative 12. Check. All right, and when we get that, we go happy cat, and we have solved. Now let's just leave it at that. This is the way we learned how to do it in class. This is an excellent way to do it. Remember, you take your two original equations, and then we'll just put some happy cats here. Then we solved for x. After we solve for x, we set the two equations equal. And when you make them equal, you get rid of your x, you solve down for y, happy cat, y is 0. Do substitution on the first equation, happy cat, x equals negative 4. Check step with the other equation, check. Happy cat's all around, good. Okay, now what we're gonna do is watch us just undo all this work. Bam, we're gonna undo everything with the Command Z tool, and then we're going to be looking here at number 7. Number 7 is a fraction alert, and so you know that the answer is going to be a fraction. Now, careful on the test, I'm not going to be giving you fraction alerts. So you're going to have to just trust your gut, trust yourself, trust your math, trust your check steps, and just trust that when you get a fraction that you got the right answer. I'm not going to do any crazy fractions. But there will be one, I think, that comes out to a fraction. Okay, now, here's the key. I don't like to solve by graphing because especially on a fraction alert, with fractions, fractions, especially with this fraction alert, don't use graphing. Okay. The second thing is I don't want to solve by substitution because it's going to be hard for me to solve for x and y without creating fractions in here, right? It's neat if you can easily create x equals on one or y equals on one of the equations to do this substitution thing. But in these cases, it doesn't look like substitution is going to work out. So generally, you want to use elimination. Elimination is the tool that's usually the best strategy. Most mathematicians would agree. So let's use elimination if we're given a choice. And so let's just put this up here. Let's go back and solve this guy in blue. I like doing problems in blue. So we say 2x minus 8y equals 3, and negative 3x plus 2y equals negative 2. Now, I can look at this and I could say, well, I can't add down. Elimination is the same thing. Remember, elimination means adding down. And you might have to multiply first. Okay, so what are we going to multiply these guys through to make it easy to add down and get a cancel? Well, I see here, if I look at my x's, I'm going to have to multiply the top by 3 and the bottom by 2. So I get kind of 2 multiplies. But if I look at my y's, I can just multiply just the bottom one by 4. If I multiply this bottom one by 4, I'll also be able to cancel. So this is kind of neat. So I don't have to do anything to the top one, right? The top one, I don't have to, I can just multiply by 1, don't do anything. On the bottom, I'm going to multiply by 4. And then, so if I multiply the top one by 1, that's the same thing as just copying it across. I'm going to multiply the bottom one by 4, and I get, well, negative 12x plus 8y equals 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. So now if I add down my y's, notice how my y's are going to cancel. And I get 2x and negative 12x is negative 10x equals negative 5. Oh, this is going to work out. It's a fraction, but you can see it's going to be a friendly fraction now. So negative 5, we're going to divide both by negative 10, and I get x equals 1/2. Like Mr. Lipscomb would do that. You know, when he does fractions, he doesn't do 5/19. You know, we get 1/2 here. So now we're going to solve. We're going to solve for y, but we got to plug back into one of the original. We're not going to go back to these equations. We're not going to go back there. We're going to go all the way back to the original equations to find our y. So let's look at this first one. Well, negative 3x times 1/2, that's going to give me a fraction. Let's use that first one. Let's use that first equation. 2 times 1/2 minus 8y equals 3. Okay, so I get 1 minus 8y equals 3. Now if I subtract 1 from both sides, I get negative 8y equals 2. Right, 3 minus 1, 2. And now I divide both sides by negative 8. And I get y is equal to negative 1/4. So I have I'm guessing that my answer is 1/2 comma negative 1/4, but to be absolutely sure, I got to go to my check step. Don't forget your check step. That's going to be 4 points on the test. On the test, I'm just going to give you a hint. For everyone paying attention, you're going to get 6 for your work, 5 for the right answer, and 4 for checking. That's going to be 15 points because you're going to do 5 problems. Each one's 15. Word problems going to be 25. There's 100. Plus, you're going to get 5 points for a bonus question. Okay. Check step. So we've already used this one to solve for y. So we have to use this one for our check step. So I'll put our check step over here in green. So we got negative 3x plus 2y equals negative 2. So we're going to plug in our values here and go negative 3 times 1/2 plus 2 times negative 1/4. Does that equal negative 2? Well, negative 3/2 plus negative, which is a negative, minus 2/4. Does that equal negative 2? Well, negative 2/4 is negative 1/2, so negative 3/2 minus 1/2. Does that equal negative 2? Well, negative 3 minus 1/2 is negative 4/2 equals negative 2. Check. Because negative 4/2 is negative 2. Check. So we can go, what can we do? We can go happy cat. And we have solved number 2 and number 7. I hope this was useful for you. I'm really happy that you guys called me or you sent me an email through Schoology and asked about these questions, because I love solving these things. So, and I love helping people who are motivated to. If you're motivated to do, what's wrong with my glasses? Follow me. There we go. If you're motivated to study hard and you're motivated to ask me questions, I'm willing to answer questions for you. And I really like that you're taking your study seriously. So good luck studying. Good luck on tomorrow's test. I'm out of here.